Hey, what's going on, guys? Loop Beer Films here, and welcome to this sort of new podcast kind of thing. I don't know if this will be a podcast. It's just a thing I'm trying. Called, I forgot what it's called. Whatever comes to mind. And before the dogs start barking up a storm, I just want to apologize if the dogs do bark up a storm. Anyway, so this is a non-unscripted, unlisted, unplanned sort of thing. I just open Audacity and press record. Basically, I'm just trying this thing where I guess I want to improve on my conversational skills and my speech skills in general because, as you may know, I am dyslexic and all that stuff, and it can be a real pain in the butt. So I'm just doing this to help with that, and maybe make some interesting internet conversations that don't have to involve using all caps and yelling at people because Sonic's eyes turn green. Anyway, so basically I'm just doing this thing where whatever comes to my mind or whatever I feel like talking about, I'll talk about. So one thing I want to talk about right now is I did a previous recording attempt a couple minutes ago, and the dogs just started barking, and I just kind of gave a comedic pause, even though it wasn't that comedic. And I got real firm with them. They're about to bark again. Please don't. And it got me thinking about how some people can they can mask themselves to where at a point they're two different people. Like, what I mean is, certain celebrities. Here's an example. America's Got Talent. Nick Cannon, who's one of the people who does the thing, America's Got Talent. If you don't know, America's Got Talent is like a competition where people can come in and make complete fools out of themselves on camera and hopefully win $1 million. I'm kidding. A lot of people are very talented on there. Anyway, so Nick Cannon, and basically I've noticed that some of the people, they're kind of really they seem like they're bothering him in some way, shape, or form, but he masks it well, even though maybe I'm assuming it wrong. Maybe he is enjoying himself and he is being sincere, but he sometimes looks like he's annoyed, and it just basically just the way that people can put on masks, like people can look like they care when they might not don't. Well, not just care. I mean, this is a great podcast, by the way. Not just care, but I mean, we can seem something we're not. Human beings have been able to adapt themselves to where we can seem like something we're not. Like, we can seem completely friendly and all that stuff, but in reality, maybe at home when we're alone, and our dogs bark and we yell and we're mean. So, I just always found it funny how some people are not usually what you think. I mean, I guess this is something that's a no-brainer to a lot of people. I just think it's funny, what's going through those people's heads when they're disguising them real selves. Are they aware of it? Do they take a knowledge of it? Do they think like them true selves? Like if a celebrity who's usually really mean but acts nice, nice, and maybe he's signing an autograph for a kid, is he saying, oh my god, this kid, just go away, please? Or I don't know. It's just a weird thing that I've always thought about, how as real as some people can act, hence on the word act, it just seems like you never really know. You never really know if they're being real or not. I mean, some people I guess you can tell, but we just never really know. Anyway, I guess I can't really expand much further on that concept. Let me think. Well, I was doing, for those of you who this may be irrelevant if anyone's listening to this podcast like a year later or whatnot. But for those of you who are listening to this currently, you probably know that my channel also has the review show You Don't Know Pac, where I review Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. And I screwed up on this because what I do is that I watch each episode individually, and then I don't really know the reason behind it. I just kind of give more of a real reaction instead of watching and kind of knowing how it'll go and stuff. So basically, I watch the episodes individually. So what I mean is, I watch the episode, then I make the episode of the review, or make the review, and then I watch the next the episode of the TV show. Well, apparently, okay, the first 4 episodes are bad. They're just bad. I'm sorry, but I just didn't. The story went nowhere. The characters. I could go on for hours about this, but anyway, it just wasn't good. But then I watched episode 5, and while it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, if you know what I'm saying. And I keep watching, and there were some jokes that made me laugh, and there were some parts that were legitimately pretty good. And there were and they did a lot of comedic stuff with the situations they gave people. And while it is incredibly immature, I mean, well, not incredibly, it can be immature a little bit at times. I mean, for people who are cylindrical and have no butts, they seem to make a lot of fart jokes for some reason. Anyway, the point is, I'll explain this more in my short finale of You Don't Know Pack, because I don't want to fake it and just for the sake of continuing a series. If a show is okay, I'll say it's okay, and I'll have this podcast as proof. But I guess, can you really call it a podcast if it's just one person? I don't know, I'm getting off topic here. Anyway, let me see. But yeah, it's a Saturday morning cartoon, basically. It's nothing really spectacular. It's not Animaniacs good. It's not like My Little Pony good, but it's okay. It's an okay show. I mean, I'm watching all of them just to make sure that there's none that... I mean, there are some bad moments, yes, but nothing to do an entire episode about. One part that really got me mad was, long story short, like, there's a power outage, and like a scientist there's a ghost scientist, and he like names Dr. Buttocks, haha, funny. And basically he shuts down all the power, and the Pack and friends are like, well, we have to be smart if we want to solve this. So he eats this thing called a brain berry, and he turns into this neurotic, cliche, cardboard nerd stereotype, and it just, I don't know why. It's not that I'm offended, I just think it's stupid. Like, nerds weren't even like that in the 90s and 80s, but that's what the 90s and 80s thought of 90s and 80s thought of nerds. Like, they're normal people. I'm a nerd, and I don't like, so we have to do question Y of -2. I just think that it's stupid how a show, like, we're basically saying, cause like, this is what nerds are like, this is what jocks are like, and I'm not trying to be like one of those people who are so oversensitive about stuff. It's just, I just felt like it was just a little bit overboard there. I mean, he had the dotted bow tie and the buck teeth and the haircut, and it was just bad. I mean, like, it just seemed like something that was a little bit offensive and a little bit overboard, just because it just seemed lazy. It's just like, why not make the nerd maybe super cool or just his normal self? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there really wasn't any other way to do this, or just write the episode differently. I don't know what. But anyway, it's an okay show. It's a pretty okay show. I will give it that. I don't know if Paul Rugg wrote any of the other episodes beside the 2 pilot ones. Maybe he did. I don't really pay attention to the credits anymore. But, yeah, it's a decent show. Moving on, let me think. Procrastination. I've been known for this for a lot of things. Because for those of you who don't know, I have an account on the site called FimFiction, which is basically a place for My Little Pony fanfictions, and what I was doing was, I was doing this thing called My Little Pony Next Generation, which was basically me trying to create Generation 5 of MLP. MLP, like I said, dyslexic. That's not really dyslexic, though. It's more, I don't know what that's caused of. Anyway, and basically, I got all the chapters done, but the last chapter, which was basically me... Actually, I'll explain this. Basically, like, I went down the steps of creating characters and worlds and all that stuff, and now I'm at the part where I actually have to write the actual episode itself. And I started writing it, I think, like, early 2015, maybe late 2014, and then I just kind of stopped. I just picked it up like an hour ago, but then I stopped to listen to music. I like to listen to music a lot, and especially I crank it up real loud. Everyone gives me flack for it, but for some reason, like, I can't really enjoy a song unless it's blasting in my ears. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but anyway, it seems like I've always been one to procrastinate just because the hardest part of doing anything really is starting it, especially if it's something you don't enjoy. If you can start something, usually you can go on the right path and eventually ending up finish it. But for me, it's always just starting it. Like homework, I'll come home with my homework and then I'll put it down and I'll just kind of stare at it for a while. And this is particularly something bad for me because I've been known, people know me for zoning out and going into my own world a lot. Like, I can't really focus on one thing for a while. Like I said, dyslexia, ADHD, autism, it's all there. So, yeah, but, so I procrastinate a lot just cause, like, I just can't really focus. I can't even talk well, as you can see, as evidenced by this podcast. It seems like, and this isn't just a problem for me, a lot of people procrastinate, and not necessarily like that's like a sin or anything. I mean, you shouldn't procrastinate, but people do it all the time, and it's understandable. I can relate to that. But it just seems like, let me think. Keep in mind, this is unscripted. I don't know I didn't even plan out my topics ahead of time. It just seems like, procrastinate, I don't really know how to continue on this topic. Just procrastination and, like, go back to the topic where, I'll go back to the topic where I'm, just starting something. I don't know if there really is a trick to start, to starting something right. Because for me, the best I can do is, basically I sit down and I kind of lunge. I don't know if I can describe this well enough, but I kind of lunge myself at it, like, okay, go now, let's do it. And it works most of the time, but sometimes it doesn't really work. I don't really know how to describe it, but I just kind of throw myself in there. Usually that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you are known for procrastinating, I can't really give you much any advice. I don't know why I brought this up, but I just say don't. Wow. This podcast will be up there with all of the greats. People will look back on this podcast years later and just listen to all of it. Have a binge listen, because greatest podcast ever. There'll be fan animations of this podcast, t-shirts, everything. So many memes will come from this podcast. As you can tell, I'm not really impressing myself right now. Moving on. Actually, let's continue with the fan fiction thing. I want to sort of address to people who kind of think that fan fiction is nothing but porn. That is slightly true, no, it's not true. Yes, while that does seem to be the majority and the stuff that gets highlighted, people just think it's porn, and fan fiction doesn't really take that much thought or effort, and it's not really something that could be considered art in a way. I disagree on this because, well, while it is, you're using things like characters and situations and stuff that other people have already created, you still have to put the time and effort to create a coherent story. And some fan fictions, you have your OCs where original characters. Why did I just address that? Everyone knows what an OC is by now. But anyway, it's basically you have to create the story and the characters and the plot and all that stuff. So while you don't put as much effort into it as an original story would, you still have to put in that effort. It's like making a film adaptation for a book. And if you think about it, film adaptations are basically fan fictions. It just they're just less original than fan fictions because you're basically just taking the story, maybe trimming it down, and making it into a visual medium. But it's still technically kind of a fan fiction because usually the people that make these adaptations were fans of the franchise, and then they kind of develop the film in their image, I guess. And then they have to deal with the fanboys and fangirls that rage on them when they screw up. But, basically, what was I thinking? Okay, so, fan fictions. Oh, man. Why did I do this? I'm going to post this. I don't care how many times I start. I'm going to post this and see what happens. Who knows? It could be good. But fan fictions, they seem to have their own kind of feel to them. They don't feel like a story. Not because they're just, I don't want to say rip-offs or knockoffs. Not just because they're based on franchises. They just seem to have that kind of zen to them, which is why they get parodied so much. People, I mean, I'm not saying there's bad fan fictions out there. There's also good ones. For you bronies out there, you'll probably know Fallout Equestria, which I haven't read yet, but to me, I don't really think it's necessarily the greatest thing ever, or it's not as, I just don't think it's as, I don't want to go offending the author K-Cat. I think that's their username, but to me, it doesn't seem like the thing that deserves all the craze. It's just Fallout and ponies. But maybe there's something more to it. I haven't read it, so I can't really judge it. But I also wanted to address so yeah, there are good fan fictions out there. Long story short, but I also want to address the fact that going on to my earlier point where I said that a lot of people think fan fiction is just porn. And while a lot of it is, maybe it is a minority, but maybe that's just what it's most known. That's not Canadian, that's Jamaican. But I apologize for any racist comments I make. I don't, because I won't try to be racist, but I might. Let's see. Yeah, and that's probably why fanfiction is parodied so much, is because it has to do with a lot of sexual stuff. But the thing that I've always found funny that no one really seems to address is that porn, by its definition, not by its definition, but porn is technically a form of art. Now, I'm not saying that it's the greatest art, or it's like the hardest art to do, but it's still art, because art by definition, well, this may not be the definition of art, but art is basically something that someone put some sort of effort into. I mean, could be little to no effort, but they still took the time to like create something visual or something that you hear or read. It's still something created, and it still quote unquote tells a story, even though some porn may have little to no story. And I kind of find it funny how we never really consider this, or most people don't really consider this, because maybe they do, I just don't know. I don't get out much, but like, you know, all those Rule 34 artists. Keep in mind that artist is in the title. It's still art, and while you may not agree with it or think it's vulgar or bad or wrong, it's still art. No matter what way you look at it, someone still puts the time and effort into making that image or in fanfic. And maybe it's not. They can get a tad bit disturbing, or weird. It's still a story, and it's still art. And even regular porn is, even like the ones with humans, that it still technically tells a story. Now, I'm not going by story as stories where you think of a good story or tells something coherent with a plot. It's a story in the lowest terms of a story. it's still, you still have your people, your quote-unquote characters that are doing something, or characters in their environment and reacting to what happens in their environment, aka kinky sex. Basically what I'm trying to say is porn's an art, basically. It's not very accepted art for some people. I'm fine with it as long as it's not child pornography or that porn where people get abused. I'm fine with it, basically. It's okay, it's not hurting anyone, like I said, as long as it's not child or abusive, but I'm fine with it, basically. I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't really read any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, you still have to accept the fact that someone was putting some sort of effort into that story or film. Very low effort, maybe, but effort, pretty much. Some sort of effort. It's just, not really what you might consider effort, but effort, pretty much, by definition. I've been using that a lot. But, and when you really think about it, porn is like, it's been in art before because, you know, back in the olden days, like the Sistine Chapel, there was naked people on that, and that was considered art. So, Rule 34, I think, is just an urban, modern version of the stuff back then. Maybe it's not, but I just always been wondering, because I've never met anyone who's ever really made this stuff, but I wonder I've always wondered what really their motivation behind it is. Is it to make a quick buck, or is it actually for some sort of passion, is it something they legitimately like to do? Do they like drawing horse penises or regular penises or any kind of penis or boob or whatever? Is that something they truly enjoy and do it for passion, not for money? And that's what I've wondered. I don't know if you happen to be in in the realm of the 34 of Rule. Please comment down below if you want to, and tell me what's your motivation behind it, because I've always been curious. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think there's really much I can say about this other than the fact that if you fap or jerk off to cartoon horses or cartoon whatever, or just humans, it's fine. If you're not hurting anyone, it's fine. Just keep doing your thing, I guess. Let me think. What else? What else is there to talk about? Uh-oh. The dog's going off. Hey! No. Okay, let me think. This is whatever comes to mind, so what does come to mind? How about YouTube commenters? Because that's a very heavy subject. Yeah, speaking of YouTube comments, when I said to comment down below, YouTube commenters. If you've ever seen this video called Welcome to YouTube, there was this one part where the guy says, don't comment, pretty much. And I agree with that because, well, I do and I don't. Because YouTube commenters have usually been portrayed as the people who write in all caps and like, oh my god, son got green eyes, oh my god, that video sucked. Yeah, basically, that's the stereotype. They're these people with like those dumb kind of voices you hear in cartoons, and they basically just rant. And while that may be a majority, it could be a minority, but while that may be a majority, there still are decent people who comment on videos. Because, like, this is especially the case with smaller YouTubers. Like, because my friend David, or Huckerino, who's also on YouTube, you should definitely check his channel out. He makes videos that are way better than mine. But you should check him out. He gets nice comments. And that's sort of the thing. That's one of the benefits of small channels. you connect more with your subscribers because you have a limited amount of people, and you have more time to connect with them all and like share opinions with and stuff. And actually, hold on. Everyone talks about YouTube commenters. I'm gonna go on the topic of small channels versus big channels and the pros and cons of those. Because I continue from what I said, with small channels, you kind of have more of, you don't have a community, but it's like you have a circle of friends in a way. Like people who like your videos and watch them. They usually are your friends in real life or people you've met online, but there are also people you don't really know, but still subscribe to you and maybe comment on your videos and like them and watch them. And you seem to have more of a connection with them when you're a smaller channel because you're like, oh, there's so-and-so 98, like I know them, or oh, there's Music Man 22. Like you just seem like you're more connected with them because there's not as much people to talk to, as opposed to with bigger channels, like take Markiplier for example. He has a really big community, which I'm a part of. Markiplier, amazing guy. Just want to say that. He has a big community, but he doesn't really get to, like, really connect with people individually anymore because there's so many. Like, you have to wonder sometimes what's going through his head when he meets a fan, because there's just going to be another one after that one. And while I'm not trying to accuse Markiplier of anything, I just want to know, like, what does it feel like when you have all those people, and when one of them comes up to you, they're another fan, but to them, it may be a great day. It may be something that's very important to them because they're one of your heroes. And when they come up to you and like they're smiling and they're meeting you, they're finally getting to see you. But at the end of the day, you have to come to grips with you're just another fan to them. And I'm not accusing Mark of saying that, like, oh, he just thinks his fans are fans and nothing more. I've seen his vlogs. He definitely seems like a guy who really cares about his fans. But at the end of the day, there's only so many people you can really have a close connection with. And I'm just kind of sad, and it pains me because I love Markiplier. I think he's one of the greatest people on earth, and he's really inspirational. But, like, I'll never really get to be a close friend of his or really get to be an important part of his life because I'm just a fan. And if I were to go to a convention and meet him and I'd maybe get something signed, I don't have anything for really him to sign, but basically if I were to come up and meet him and then I go, then that's it. He'd probably forget about me 2 seconds later. And again, I'm not trying to accuse him of this. I'm not trying to say, like, Markiplier just, again, I said before, he doesn't care about his fans. He probably does. But the human mind cannot hold all those memories of fans, so it probably just goes by fast. He probably, like, cherishes every moment, but he probably doesn't remember them all. And that's reasonable. I mean, like, he's a human being. It's just... And keep in mind, I'm not saying you should idolize someone. That's never a good idea because you kind of let them rule you. Even though they're not trying to rule you, you kind of let them rule you. It's okay to admire someone and be a fan, but don't make that person be all about your life. And I'm not trying to force any of my like life sayings or whatever onto you. I'm just saying be wary. Don't take someone so seriously, because if you do, like, you'll become the stereotype of the crazy fanboy or the crazy fangirl who, like, stop at nothing to meet them or to be with them and write, again, fan fiction about them. But anyway, getting back on track, it seems like when you're a bigger channel, you don't really have that sense of family, like true family. Because, like, when you think of family, you think of, usually, in my case, I think of my mom, my dad, and my sister. Just kind of like a close, and maybe family and friends. A close group of friends and family who you can relate to and you talk to and you know personally. But, like, you know, as with bigger channels, with Markiplier, he'll see a fan and he'll probably talk to them for, like, maybe a minute or so. But he won't really get to know them much after that. And as never been to a con, I guess I can't really say this, and as someone who doesn't really have a lot of fans, I don't think you have any fans, but I mean, do subscribers really count as fans? I don't know. Anyway, so maybe most of my subscribers are just people who misclicked on the subscribe button and just didn't bother to unsubscribe. Anyway, the point is, as a small channel, you kind of get, I'm just going to keep repeating myself, I know, but what was that? Yeah, big channels. Like Markiplier, going back to him, it seems to me that, I'm so bad at speaking. It seems to me that Mark, as much, he's even said it before, that Mark tries desperately to personally get to know all his fans and have a connection with them as the community, but you just can't. He's not Superman. And he has people he cares more about, like his friends and family. And if you, like I said, if you idolize someone like that, you'll have to come to terms with the fact that if there's someone you admire, they care about, there's people out there who they care about and know more about than you do, and I'm sure most of you have accepted this fact. And if you haven't, just get used to that, because, as much as we'd like to think that if we meet this person, our life will be complete and their life will be complete, and we'll be the greatest person they've ever met, but that may not be the case. We may just be, again, another fan. So, it seems to me that big versus small, when you're a small channel, you have more of that sense of family where you know everyone and everyone's there, and like you have that tiny little group of friends that you can all share with. But with big channels, while your content is viewed more, you seem to lose that kind of sense of really knowing the people who are subscribed to you. I could go more into this, but anyway, we're going to talk about pros and cons of big and small. I've only covered one thing. Great. Let's see. With small channels, you really don't have as much of a motivation to do YouTube, because, I mean, I don't really think anyone really watches my videos besides my friends, and for many people, they don't really have the motivation to do it. And going back to Markiplier, I'm sorry, he's just that great of a guy. Oh my god, I say don't idolize someone, and I'm acting like I'm idolizing someone. Great. But he says if you want to be successful at YouTube, you have to seek it with a passion. Basically with anything you do. And that's true. And it can be hard, because now, like, on YouTube, it's hard to get noticed as a smaller channel, like, more and more. Because it seems like there's always been, like, that big 20 or that big 30 group of channels and all the smaller channels get overshadowed. I'm not saying that it's not possible for smaller channels to get recognized. Anything's possible. But it just seems hard, because you have to put a lot of time into making videos. You have to basically make it a job. And for people like me who still are in school and stuff, that's hard. So I'm probably never going to get anywhere remotely successful on YouTube, but I'm still going to do it just because I want to build my portfolio, and B, just because it's fun, and I'm bored, and I have no life. But basically, you kind of have that less motivation because you don't have many people watching your videos and liking and commenting. You don't really feel like there's much of a purpose. But for bigger channels, there is motivation, because you got all these people watching and commenting and liking and subscribing, and you have all these big people, and you're just more noticed. So you have like, oh, well, of course, if I put videos out, well, keep in mind you still have to put effort into them. But when I put videos out, people will watch. You know for a fact that people will watch them and like them, and that you can just move on to the next one. You just know for a fact that it'll be good, or hopefully be good, or that you'll have an audience. You know you already have an audience, and I guess it is kind of contradicting, because those big channels started out as a small channel once, but I guess the reason because they are big channels is because they had motivation and did everything they could to make their channel. and then they got big. So yeah. Long story short, when you're small, you really don't have the purpose. But when you're big, you know that you already have the purpose, and you already have a purpose. You already have your audience, so you already know, like, you have more of a drive, because you have more of a drive to create stuff because you know people will watch them. It's like one of those things where I can't really think of an example, but it's like, why make dinner? Okay, never mind. I was gonna do a stupid example. But yeah, okay. I need to learn how to move on for things. But yeah, so to recap, when you're small, you have more connection to people, connection to your people, because you have less people to really communicate with, and all that stuff. You get a sense of family. When you're big, not so much. You just have a lot of fans. When you're small, you don't really have that much motivation because you don't really have that much of an audience, and you have to make that audience from the ground up. When you're big, you already know you have an audience and you have more of a drive. But then again, when the big channels start out as small ones, but still they work their way up. So the people who have who are more motivated and more passionate about YouTube are the ones that get big. The ones that aren't a hobby. I probably want to use YouTube as a job. Make YouTube as a job when I get older. I want to be a filmmaker and make stuff for like cinema and stuff, but who knows what can. I don't know. I could be working at McDonald's, but I really hope that doesn't happen. Hey, there's a thing we can talk about. McDonald's employees. It's like it seems because I was actually gonna do a stereotype of rant video on this, and I may still, but it seems like the stereotype of McDonald's workers is that they dropped out of high school and they don't know much. And my phone's ringing. Well, not my phone, the home phone. Anyway, that's not important. Can I hang up? Yes, I can. Darn, no, I can't. But it seems, I don't even know if you heard the phone ringing. You probably can. Probably. This mic picks up a lot of stuff. But it seems like McDonald's employees, they seem to be people who are like not unemployed, but not very that smart. Good grammar. Not that smart. Are desperate for a job and don't really have that good of a resume and probably dropped out of high school. Now, I haven't really watched a documentary on it or anything, but I'm pretty sure it isn't really true. I mean, usually people I've seen at McDonald's usually people are just trying to, I don't go there very often, but the times that I do, I doubt. Hey, no, calm down. But the times that I do go to McDonald's, I've noticed that they usually just tend to be people at high school who are trying to raise money to go to college. And that's perfectly reasonable. That's just, your average summer job. And, but I think it's still stereotyped as, like, if you're not smart or you don't care about school, you'll go to McDonald's. And while I guess that is technically the case, I still think that McDonald's workers get a little bit more flack than they should, because some of them are just just trying to work a college job, or not college, maybe a college or high school job, or are in tough times and can't really get that much money, like they're poor, or not because they dropped out, just because there's just some sort of financial thing that they have to. Like, it's just something that it seems like as a... dogs, really? It just seems like it's the only thing they can really go to. Oh, are we back? Yeah, we're back. Okay. Sorry, guys. I had to go do a lot of stuff. Mom came home. Just want to say, beautiful, awesome, amazing, greatest mom world ever thing. She's not a thing, but she's greatest, and she came back, and I wanted to welcome her home. She she's working this office job right now, and it's really, really bad, and it kind of sucks for her, and I don't know. She has to put up with a lot of stuff, especially me. And anyone who knows me, when you have to put up with me, your life's hell. So yeah, I just wanted to thank her for that. Moving on. What were we talking about? Yeah, McDonald's employees. Speaking of crappy jobs. Oh, I'm contradicting myself. Well, I mean, I guess in some ways working at McDonald's probably isn't the greatest thing ever. But I've always wondered if there was just one person out there who actually enjoys working at McDonald's and like had like it as a dream. I'm pretty sure that is completely fictional, and there's no one out there who would want to work at McDonald's like work as a dream and as a passion. But who knows? There's a lot of people out there, so we may never know. But I don't know. Is there anything really I could go on with McDonald's employees? I'm just saying, if you know someone who works at McDonald's, or like you see the people working at McDonald's, don't think twice before, thinking, oh, they probably just dropped out of high school, they can't read, and like all that stuff. They're probably just people who are either going through a hard time and need money, or probably just taking a summer job. I'm pretty sure that all of you probably do this anyway, and I'm just sounding like someone who knows everything, and you all know nothing. But you do know a lot of things. You probably all are intelligent human beings, and in that case, what are you doing here at Loop Beer Films? Our target audience is not intelligent people. We're like the Happy Madison of YouTube. Why do I say we're like? I guess it's the royal we. Anyway, so moving on from McDonald's employees, let's talk about. Well, I'm not talking to anyone, so let's talk about voice acting. That just came to mind. In a way, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but for me, voice acting, it seems like it's actually harder to do than actual acting, because you might probably would be thinking, well, with actual acting, you have to use your body and your voice to portray the character you're playing in the film. But for me, I think voice acting is a tad bit harder because you're not on a set, you're not on the stage, nothing's happening. It's just you in a room talking into a microphone. So you kind of have to pretend you're in that situation, like you are that character, and that can sometimes be a difficult thing. I mean, I remember I was watching, I think it was just a preview or something, or just a little thing in between, in a commercial or in between a show or whatnot. But they were doing this thing in How to Train Your Dragon 2, where one of the voice actors was talking about how it's difficult to do it because you're not on a set, and like I said, with all the examples I listed, and she said you have to kind of imagine yourself on the dragon and you're in that scene, and once again, that's kind of difficult to do. But I guess with practice and stuff, you can really imagine yourself on that dragon or whatever. When on that dragon, I hope you aren't doing anything. Insert sex joke here. Anyway. But yeah, I guess people do practice makes perfect and all that. But I guess there are just some people who have it naturally, who can just easily imagine themselves as like they're in that situation. I feel like I can pretty much put myself in any situation when I imagine myself, and you can insert another sex joke here if you want. But I feel like I have it pretty easy when it comes to, like, when I do quote-unquote voice acting. I'm not really a voice actor. I mean, I can't really call myself that. I have a microphone. I'm a voice actor. No. I can't really call myself that. But I find it easy whenever I am doing something for a video. Actually, I guess I've never really portrayed a character before, like, to be animated or something. But whenever I've done, like, because I've written scripts and screenplays for stuff, and I've done some test lines, and I found it very easy, and this is one of the things where my dyslexia comes in handy. I find it very easy to put myself, because when you're dyslexic, you can see things in 3 dimensions. Like, a normal person could see a dog, and they could see it at the angle it is. But dyslexic people, they can, like, imagine it to where they can see it from the back, from the side. No, you can put another sex joke in here if you want. I don't know. You can get a little bit creative. That could work. But you can get creative with the joke. But, let's see. But, so it's kind of relatively easy for me to put myself in the world and act like I am that character, because for as long as I can remember, I like to go off in my own world, and it's relatively easy now. I think it was easy back then, but whatever. But yeah, in my opinion, don't get me wrong, human acting is still hard, especially when you're doing your own stunts, like Tom Cruise, who recently, at the point of time this podcast is released, this episode is released, he just finished with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and he did all his own stunts, basically. He did all his own stunts. There was no CGI whatsoever. Like, if you see, there's one scene, not spoiler, I haven't even seen it yet, but there's one scene they like to highlight where he jumps on a plane. He's trying to get to a plane as if we're going to take off. He jumps on it, and it takes off. But the thing is, he actually jumped on that plane. And there wasn't any CGI or anything, and I find that very impressive, because he, I don't know who said this, but I think it was the co-writer. Oh man, I know him. He's great. He made Hot Fuzz. He made Shaun of the Dead. I'm sorry if this person ever listens to this in the future. Is it Nick? No. Maybe it was Nick. Oh, I don't know. He's great. He, like I said, made Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and The World's End. Those movies are fantastic. You should watch them. Anyway, he played Scotty. Darn it, who is he? He played Scotty in Star Trek. I was just referring that, so it wasn't just Scotty. Well, I guess Scotty is just a recognizable name. When you say Scotty, you think of Star Trek. But he was great. And I'm pretty sure he's the one that said this, but Tom Cruise seems to have this dedication to movies, to his fans and the people who just watch the movies, to really make the movie experience real. So he does all his own stunts with no Hollywood tricks whatsoever, and I admire that, and also I think it's kind of crazy, which it is pretty much. Like, you're risking your life for entertainment, and while YouTube is full of people who are doing stupid things for entertainment, this is like death-defying stuff. I mean, I guess there's that one lady who did like the cinnamon challenge and stuff, but anyway, actually I'm going to talk about that later. But so yeah, I admire it because he's putting a lot of effort into his films, and that's great. And Tom Cruise, he's a good actor on his own, but the fact that he's doing all the stunts on his own is pretty great. It shows dedication. But it's also insane because it's not like he's sacrificing his life for war or anything. He's sacrificing his life for, like, entertainment. Because, when he's hanging onto that plane, there's nothing that's going to catch him. He falls off. He's doing that all by himself. And the fact that he's been able to avoid serious injury for a while, I mean, maybe there has been some sort of injury in the past that I just haven't heard about. But the fact that he's been able to do that for so long is, A, a miracle, B, awesome, and C, insane. But like I said, I think I admire it, but I also think it's kind of crazy. But, I'm just gonna let him do what he wants to do, and his movies are awesome. So, alright, I'm gonna talk about one more thing, then I'm gonna end off the episode, because my mac and cheese that is right in front of me, it's making my mouth water, and it's getting cold. So, so I mentioned earlier about people doing stupid stuff on the internet. Like, I don't know the name of this person, but she's done, like, the baby food challenge, the cinnamon challenge. Man, I just recommend don't do that stuff. Because I really think, okay, this will go into a much larger topic that I want to talk about. It may get a little rantish, but I think it's dumb that some of the stuff that gets famous on the internet, because there's people out there who are pouring massive, giant buckets amount of creativity and effort into making some sort of original piece of art or film or something like that, or a game. Games actually get good games get famous more than films do. But anyway, like people making filmmakers, independent filmmakers making these wonderful films that are like maybe not game changing, but like just fascinating and great. And people put them on the internet, and they get little to none recognition. But yet people who like take 2 seconds to maybe like film their little kid doing something, or film their cat doing something, or staring at a camera, Maggie Bond, those are the things that get famous. It seems like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are still things on the internet that get famous that have put a lot of effort put into them, and some people, you may say, well, if you like Markiplier so much, he just does Let's Plays, and that's just playing video games, that doesn't take much effort. Well, there still is a skill to Let's Playing, because you still have to, keeping comedy keeping the comedy alive, and like keeping a subject going while you're playing a game, and keeping that going for like a 10-minute video, that's hard. I mean, I've tried it. It's not all that easy. But anyway, but there's people who like people on Vine who just film stuff that took no. Don't get me wrong. There are some stuff. There's some stuff on Vine that's great. It's hilarious, and it seems like people actually thought about the joke before they did it. But there's just some things on the internet, like Vine and YouTube, that just seem like they didn't try. Sometimes it was just a moment of luck that they got on camera, or it's just some pointless thing that, like going back to Maggie Bond, a girl who stares at the camera for maybe like 5 minutes. I'm not hating on the person, on her personally. I just think the fact that got famous, because she put no effort, like staring at a camera, like she didn't talk about something, or she didn't do anything. She just stared at a camera. Like I said, this is gonna get a little rantish, but it's like, when you don't put effort into something, it feels like YouTube. I loved YouTube because it seems like a place where if you want, like, because it's hard to get into show business and stuff. So YouTube, for me, seemed like a place where you could share your ideas and you can make ideas, and you can get criticism. Most of that not so constructive, but some of it is constructive, and you can make friends, and you could kind of build a community. That's what I always thought YouTube was great for. But I also like the fact that when there's people who do the stupidest of things, or do something that's completely pointless, that's the thing that gets attention, while some guy who probably dedicated months or even years of his life into making something that's beautiful and artistic gets like little to no attention. And yes, I get it, in the long run, that's life, and it seems that the lowest common denominator, or just the general population, doesn't want to see all that. They just want to see stuff that makes them laugh. That's fine. But for me, I still think that there's things out there that we don't know about, because it's drowned in all the pointless cat videos and baby videos. And while those are funny, I still think that they don't deserve as much recognition, because that's not something that a person wrote out and planned and really put effort into. That's just something they got on camera. But then again, the internet's usually just a place to entertain. So who am I to say? But I just feel like there's people who do these challenges, or people who just do like these cat videos. I just feel like they don't deserve as much attention as these people who are making real creative, original, or entertaining stuff. Now, some do, but not as much as they should be. So I'm going to close it off here. It's about an hour. I don't know if anyone is actually going to make it to this point. If you do, congratulations. You obviously have a lot of time on your hands to be doing this, or to listen to this far. Unless you're me, In that case, hi future me, how you doing? How's that dumpster you living in? Great, okay. But anyway, that's it for Whatever Comes to Mind, episode 1. I hope you enjoyed. Check out my other videos. Check out David's channel, aka Hawkerino. You know what? I'm just gonna make random shout-outs to people. I'll probably put all the links in the description. Check out Hawkerino, Tootsie Roll 2 Productions, Mr. Cupcake. Check out Lord Duckington. He's another one of my friends. I don't know. He hasn't really posted anything on his channel, but you know what? Whatever. Just check him out anyway. I don't think there's anyone else I really want to give a shout out to. Check out Sambo. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I've always done that. Turtle Pain. Just check out all those guys. They're great. I'll try to find their channel links and put them in the description. So, without further ado, I'm Loopbeer Films. Oh, follow me on social media and all those groovy places so you can catch up from my day-to-day activities, like the exciting moments of me sipping a cup of apple juice or me taking a dump on the toilet, because we all know that that's what social media is for. That's another rant for another day. Anyway, I'm Loopbeer Films, and I've been talking about whatever comes to mind. Oh yeah, you like that intro? That was good.